Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television, broadcasting from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. The case pitting Sisiku Ayoktabe and the other Anglophone leaders detained at the Yaoundé maximum security prisoners again been adjourned. It was adjourned today to the 5th of August 2019, while the leaders are to begin a hunger strike as from tomorrow if the Yaoundé administration fails to give information on the whereabouts of Mancho BBC and other detainees of the Anglophone crisis forcefully taken out of their cells in the prison in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. And international pressure continues mounting on the President of the Republic of Cameroon and his government as the situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country deepens further. The government of the Republic of Cameroon is now paying hundreds of millions of dollars to some international experts to wash the dirty image of Cameroon, notably painted by some international non-governmental organizations. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the news. Sisiku Ayoktabe and the other detained Anglophone leaders will appear at the Yaoundé Military Court again next Monday, that is on the 5th of August 2019. The case was once more adjourned today, and of course the hearing today took place in the presence of the lawyers of the Anglophone detainees who appeared in court with red cloths on the left hands to protest notably against the torture afflicted on one of them, that is Barrister Amungwa, who was tortured by two gendarme officers in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. And the case, of course, was adjourned to the 5th of August 2019, and Sisiku Ayoktabe and the other leaders are to begin a hunger strike as from tomorrow if the government fails to account for the transfer of missing detainees and prisoners. Mancho BBC and the others were taken out of their prison cells to an unknown destination, and the leaders of the Anglophone struggle have been mounting pressure. They have been mounting pressure on the Yaoundé administration to give information on their whereabouts, and information had been circulating on social media indicating that they had been killed. But this information was dismissed by the Network of Human Rights Defenders, REDAC, Network of Human Rights Defenders in Central Africa, and it said that Mancho BBC and the others are alive. And I was talking earlier on the case of Barrister Amungwa, who was molested by some two gendarme officers in the BMRC neighborhood in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. The barrister, who is a member of the defense team of Sisiku Ayoktabe and the other Anglophone leaders, was severely tortured by some gendarme officers in the BMRC neighborhood, and he was rushed to hospital. He just told me some few seconds ago that he spent over 4 hours in the coma before coming back to normal life. That is the situation as far as the Anglophone detainees are concerned in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. And now we're going over to the city of Boya in the southwest region of the country, where Derek Jato tells us that a global counter-terrorism and organized crime expert, notably with a barrister at law after the incident that took place at the Yaoundé and Boya prisons, say the government should see the happenings as an opportunity to right the wrongs in Cameroon, notably as far as the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon are concerned. Derek Jato reports on Boya.
Yaoundé Central Prison and Buea Central Prison 24 hours later.
That is the Buea Central Prison, where you're seeing smoke coming up. You don't know what is going on, but I've been made to understand that the inmates down here at the Buea Central Prison have been agitating for some hours now, and it is going wild down here.
The message was clear: something is not right.
It is a right for the prisoners to cry out. It is a right for them to protest.
And how can such scenes be prevented from repeating itself in the future?
And this is an opportunity for the government not to clamp on the prisoners, but it's an opportunity for them to fix what is not right, starting with the judicial system and also going to the infrastructure of the prisons.
To Barrister Clifford Niba Akunte, failure to use a non-violent approach will achieve only one thing: disaster.
We are out to tell the communities to restrain from violence, but we cannot stop at the level of telling the community to restrain from violence. We must also engage the government to take its responsibility. We are pleading on the government to revisit Article 64 of our Constitution.
He is the country director of the Movement for Democracy, Development and Transparency, and their strives to lobby for youth to come on board and preach peace is witnessing some setbacks.
So far, the issue has been that so many youth are scared. We live in an atmosphere of fear.
Fear of the unknown.
Not that we want to change the government, not that we want to say that this person is better than this. We are not taking sides. We are out to bring peace.
Mr. David Otto is a global counter-terrorism and organized crime expert.
Every conflict has its own DNA.
Talking to EQUINOXE television in Buea, he gave his own way out of the war, ravaging the two English regions of Cameroon.
Nobody should be left out of the process, because when you leave people out of the process, they simply become spoilers. Of course, a lot of people say that you cannot have 100% in bringing all parties to board, but if you can achieve about 80 or 75% of all the parties, I think it would really do well, for the people of Cameroon.
For accepting to talk to each other means accepting to end the war.
We get to change the way we don't see the crisis.
Derek Jato reporting there, and the president of the Southwest Court of Appeal has called on the president of the Buea Military Court to speed up the trial of detainees, especially detainees of the Anglophone crisis, in order to decongest the crowded prison. He was speaking during the installation ceremony of the president of the Buea Military Court. Derek Jato once more has the details.
Colonel Mem Michel and Major Mbule Emmanuel have been installed as the president of the Buea Military Court and the commissioner of government, respectively. Colonel Siba Didier, director of military justice, reminded them of the socio-political atmosphere surrounding their assignment.
Helping the military hierarchy to maintain order within the ranks, and secondly, to protect public order. Those are the two issues.
Madam Fon Acha Helen, president of the Southwest Court of Appeal, called on the newly installed to speed the judicial process, for justice delayed is justice denied.
Fight against illegal arrest and detention, and afford long detention without trials. Do all as lies within your power and competence to expedite hearings and thus decongest our prisons. I will repeat what the Director of Military Justice said. Remember, justice delayed is justice denied.
We are apt for the job. We know the stakes and we are here for justice, was their response.
It's true, there are many challenges because of the current crisis in our region, as you all know. But I think we are up to the task.
I have always a mission to assist the military authority in order to ensure at most to reinforce and to consolidate discipline in the different ranks of the army force.
The installation ceremony took place at the Court of Appeal in Buea, the Southwest Regional Capital.
Results of the June 2019 session of the General Certificate of Education GC Ordinary and Advanced levels have been published in the midst of uncertainty looming over the next academic year, rapidly drawing near after 2 academic years badly affected by the deepening Anglophone crisis. According to statistics from the GCE board, there has been an increase or an improvement on the success rate, notably as far as the General Certificate of Education GCE Ordinary and Advanced levels are concerned. 110,916 candidates registered for the examination this year. 98,015 sat and 68,846 succeeded, recording a percentage of 74.24% as compared to 64.27% for 2018, thus an increase of 11.97% in the success rate of the General Certificate of Education GCE Ordinary and Advanced levels. We'll be taking a look at this in the second part of this newscast, and we'll also be talking about international pressure mounting on the Yaoundé administration over the worsening situation in the 2 Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon. And I said in the headlines that the Cameroon government is now seeking the expertise of some Americans to wash the dirty image of the country painted by non-governmental organizations who have been highlighting the atrocities committed in the 2 Anglophone regions of the country by both military and government officials. Fighters will be taking a look at all this in the second part of the news. And now we're going up now to talk about the Boko Haram group that has intensified attacks in the far north region, hence victimizing the locals, with villages and farmlands abandoned and destroyed. The traditional cattle rearing activity has also been badly affected as a result of the activities of the Nigerian terrorist sect Boko Haram. Hemini Luka has more.
Before the constant attacks in the far north region by the Boko Haram, locals faced little or no major difficulties. Men and women were all merged into farming, cattle rearing, amongst other legal activities. It is hardly the case today. To pull on as in the past, farms have been abandoned and cattle in most villages have been carried away by the terrorist group. As it's now, 15,000 cattle have been taken away and over 50 farmlands totally destroyed in the far north region. It is approximately 4 years since the population faces the plight to reboot the agro-inclined mindset and get them resume their habitual income-generating activities. The European Union has donated 300 young animal species to the victims. We have been scared to return to our villages because many have died. Meantime, we thank the European Union for the animals. We will rear the animals and trade. To note, livestock is one of the major activities of the far north region, and one of the traditional activities being the most profitable for at least 30% of the rural population. And cattle rearing for many ethnic groups stands first place in the wealth accumulation mode. For most families, it is the only production that gives rise to regular marketing, with increase in capital for most of the farmers pastoralists during the last 2 decades, till the unfortunate multiplied attacks of the insurgent Boko Haram in the region, which has turned activities topsy-turvy.
Insecurity is on the rise in Betua in the east region of the Republic of Cameroon. Recently, 2 taxi drivers were killed by suspected bandits. EQUINOXE report.
For 3 weeks now, the town of Betua in the east region of Cameroon has not known peace due to prevailing insecurity. Homes are burglarized every night by burglars. Even during the day on the streets, theft is common and more dangerous. Aggression, others note, is alarming. Commercial motorbike riders are principal victims of aggressions during the day. They are threatened with guns and other deadly weapons and money extorted from them. Bike riders have reported the rising phenomenon to administrative authorities, which saw the governor convened a meeting to discuss the issue. City dwellers say the insecurity is favored by youth unemployment, constant and prolonged power outage.
Tout cela constitue un ensemble d'éléments qui favorisent malheureusement cette insécurité.
Faced with this situation, the East Governor, Grégoire Mvogo, has held meetings with motorbike trade unionists.
Il faut automatiquement relancer l'assainissement du secteur des motos.
The trade unionists demand reinforcement of security in the motorbike sector and ensuring identification of bike riders so as to flush out invaders.
Parce qu'il faut qu'on sache qui fait quoi, qui est sur la moto, d'où il vient.
Civil society actors suggest vigilance, self-discipline and denunciation of criminals in a bid to curb this insecurity in the town of Bétoua before security elements effectively do the rest.
Conscientiser tout le monde à se protéger parce que l'État ne peut pas mettre derrière chaque Camerounais un policier et un gendarme pour le garder.
For effective eradication of the phenomenon, commercial motorbike riders and the population are expected to double this vigilance and discipline.
After close to 10 years of implementation of the Growth and Development Strategy paper in the Republic of Cameroon, poverty has continued rising. Unemployment have also been rising in the country. Economic stakeholders, notably those of the private sector, see the Growth and Employment Strategy paper is a failure. The president of the Cameroon Employees Union, Celestin Tawamba, has said all efforts made within the framework of the development plan of action have not been able to move the country towards emergence by 2035. Speaking at the consultation meeting today in Douala, Celestin Tawamba lamented over the fact that the growth rate of Cameroon's economy is still below 4%, and the Minister of Economy, Planning and Regional Development acknowledged the flaws in the Growth and Employment Strategy paper and its implementation, but said contrary to Celestin Tawamba, much has been achieved over the past 10 years, and though the growth rate has barely moved an inch. Emphasizing on the statement, failing to plan is planning to fail, he said it was important to meet and better plan phase 2 of the 2035 development vision. Here's an extract of the Minister of Economy, Planning and Development of the Republic of Cameroon, Alamin Usman May. Take a listen.
Growth rate up to close to 10%, 8, 9, if not, it's going to be difficult for us to reach our target. Secondly, we have to step up our investment from the private sector as well as from the public sector. We need to reach around 35 to 40% of our GDP in terms of investment. Of course, this is also going to happen through strengthening our primary and secondary sector. Why should we do that? So the primary sector is the one which is going to produce more. And we need to strengthen the secondary because it's going to transform our local products. Therefore, we need to step up the size of the primary sector and the secondary sector. If we have great and quality products on our market, it will going to reduce our deficit in terms of trade, which is certainly something the head of state would like us to change definitely. And to do that, we have huge potentials, and the private sector is going to play a key role. It's going to be the creator of wealth, the creator of jobs. The state will play a role of a facilitator, regulator, and if need be, strategic investors. While doing so, we hope that by sharing all the institutional frameworks, the laws available, we will be able to promote a very strong private sector in Cameroon that will going to serve our national domestic market, the sub-regional market, as well as the continental market. You know that recently we have passed the agreement which is going to lead to a free continental area in the continent. We also need to strengthen our connectivity in the sub-region, infrastructure-wise, electricity-wise, as well as telecommunication. We have the skills, we have the human resources, and we have the capacity to do so. Sectors of great interest are energy, certainly telecommunication, agro-industry, and Cameroon has huge potential to develop all these sectors. We have youth, women who can do that. They are well educated, and the agricultural sector is going to benefit from a transversal of solutions available that will lead to certainly the improvement of the capacity, productivity, and bring to the market the products we want to see quickly.
We also asked Cameroon's Minister of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, Alamine Ousmane, what should be done to ensure that by 2035 Cameroon joins the rank of emerging nations. And this is an extract of what he said.
Within the consultative approach, we have the private sector in view of preparing the second phase of our strategic and development paper. This is certainly an opportunity to assess what has been done in the past, and we are proud to say, despite the difficult economic situation, that Cameroon has been able to reach averagely 4.6% growth rate. This is certainly a little bit below our target. The base scenario was 5.5%, but with the current situation and the crisis we have been going through, one could be happy with this achievement. We have to strengthen, we have to accelerate our development growth. And this is the reason why within this consultative framework, we are sharing today with the private sector. A private sector which is supposed to play an important and a key role in making our economy really get to the emergent status. The private sector has shared with us some of the impediments that have been on the way towards becoming an emergent country. We have been able to identify them together, and we have elaborated solutions that will lead to better involvement and contribution of the private sector. Cameroon certainly would like to be an emergent country by 2035. We do hope that all stakeholders, like the private sector, through this participatory approach, will be part of this journey. This is the spirit of this approach. These are the lessons we have learned in the past, and we need to get to stronger appropriation from the population, stronger appropriation from stakeholders, and stronger delivery of different stakeholders.
Minister Alamine Ousmane talking about phase 2 of the 2035 vision of emergence of the Republic of Cameroon, and then what should be done to achieve that goal. Coming up next, Talking Point. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us in Talking Point. We are receiving a political analyst, Ako John. Ako, you're welcome.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine.
The results of the General Certificate of Education GC Ordinary and Advanced Levels were published today. That is the 2019 session, and there is an increase of about 11% compared to last year. What do you think about those results? What's your opinion about those results?
Yeah, when we look at the results, I believe very strongly that is having one or two messages to say last year was better than the year previous in terms of academics, and secondly that maybe the students had a more convenient atmosphere to study, and that corresponded with the results. But somewhere it beat my imagination equally to think that results going to over 74% of those validated at the ordinary level. It gives a lot of worry, because even in ordinary period in Cameroon, it was difficult to find ordinary level results at this particular percentage. I don't want to insinuate that we don't use the career of citizens, the career of those who have to earn it, as a message of political laundering. We should not launder the situation presently by upgrading or causing standard of what students are not. Because if we revise in the past, you realize that it was difficult at the ordinary level to have results at over 74%. We have been used to having 56, 60, but at 70 and above, it started giving us the implication if whether the processes of election of exams were well organized and what the process through the correction, through even the validations and the jury that decided on who should be given what grade were equally well constituted. Remember, the GC board has equally experienced a political maneuver in the composition of those rules governing the GC exams in Cameroon, and that the ministers now have the possibility of controlling whatsoever happens. It gives us an indication equally whether the GC board still remains an independent organ from the government like it has been in the past.
All right, the crisis has continued worsening, the Anglophone crisis, and the rate of success in the General Certificate of Education is increasing. What can we read within the lines?
Yeah, if the crisis is still, that is what I'm saying. You remember, a lot of people are no longer in the English regions. A lot of Cameroonians now live in the littoral, the west, the center, and even as far as the east region. Cameroonians are even found. English Cameroonians are now in the northern part of the country. So invoking the English crisis after 3 years as a cause for failure of exams, we might not be having it right, because majority of the schools have been closed down in these two zones. And so those who sat for the exams, a majority, more than 70% of those who wrote the exams were in the English or in the French part of the territory. It can equally give an indication that where they are, they might have equally be determined, and this has produced the results that we are having.
All right, before we talk about international pressure mounting on government concerning the Anglophone crisis, I want you to take a look at the case between Sisiku Ayuk-Tabe and the other Anglophone detainees and the state of Cameroon. The case is postponed again and again and again. Today again it was postponed to the 5th of August 2019.
Yeah, it is not new. We are not waiting, or we are not going to see judgment being passed so soon. And I'm believing strongly, because last time a lot of people thought that adjourning it to the few days for more evidence or more time for the investigative magistrate to have a lot of elements on the case, but we still see the same adjournment. It is the normal system of the justice or the judicial system in Cameroon, just coming few days after the confusion within the prison yard of Kondengi and that in Buea, giving us an idea that justice in Cameroon is being handled by the executive, and that until the executive will decide on what the judges sitting on these cases should do, that is when judgment will be passed. You cannot be in a system like that of Cameroon where the same person that appoint the judges is the one that gives the instructions on what the judges should do. When justice is tied to the executive, there is always bound to be corruption, there is bound to be delay, there is a lot within the corridors of the courts in Cameroon, and we believe very strongly that Cameroonians, if there is a need, we need to come out to denounce is the judicial system. If Cameroon is falling and tearing apart, the judicial services and the department of this nation have failed to play their role, beginning within the military tribunal to the civil tribunals.
While the case is being adjourned again and again, one of the lawyers defending the detainees, Barrister Amungwa, is tortured by two gendarme officers in the BMRC neighborhood to the point of pushing him into a coma.
Yeah, that is what, when you delay justice, it said justice delayed is justice denied, and that equity can never be done to somebody who kept on being behind bars for so long without knowing the reason why he is held behind bars. And a lot of people, in fact, some others may even resort to what we call the anti-social method of justice. Some people may even get to Juju House, on Game House, to cause confusion in the brain of the judges. Sometimes there was this American movie they used to talk of the devil's advocate. And when you get into such standard, you realize that the judiciary in Cameroon, when we continue delaying, even those who were not concerned within this crisis and even the court procedure start feeling otherwise, that the court is no longer the court of law. It is either a junta or a military arena where those who have the force decide on what the law is saying. Within Cameroon, I still cry very heavily that we need to reason well, that the nation Cameroon belongs to all Cameroonians, and that if Cameroonians need to stand for it, one of those determined department which we need to cleanse up of the mess and keep this country at peace is the judicial department. If we need to be strongly, we have a nation where you don't respect the rights of a mere legal consultant, a lawyer, then you can imagine how deep we are. Who are those taking their hands on the lawyer? A military, the people in uniform. It is always difficult for us to find this happening in other nations. If this nation needs to correct its errors, we need to start with the school of the military training.
Now let's talk about international pressure mounting on the Yaoundé administration, pushing the government of Cameroon to go seek the services of Americans paying up to $115,000 to watch the dirty image of the country painted by non-governmental organizations and other civil society.
Yeah, it is true that